Grain planting across the U.S. is wrapping up, but weather is still hampering some late-season soybean planting. Joining us now with this week's Bottom Line is Neil Melancon. And Neil, despite some late soybean planting, how does the rest of the crop look across the country right now?
Well, Mike, even though we've made a great deal of progress in the U.S. planting in the past week, we're still lagging behind in corn and beans. The fear is now that either some of that corn won't get planted at all, or the old fears of an early cold snap that could damage that late planted crop. Beans have a little more leeway, but even though these states have made good progress, they're still lagging behind. Overall, the U.S. is slightly behind the average planting pace for this time of year, especially in powerhouses of Ohio and Indiana, which have been hampered by a lingering winter and torrential rains. Ohio did jump almost 30% from last week in corn planting, and it's still seriously behind Illinois. Ohio and Indiana are also the two big culprits behind the lagging soybean pace, with Ohio more than 50 percentage points behind the 5-year average. As you can see, the average pace for the U.S. is lagging 12 points behind average. The bottom line here is that in any normal year, this wouldn't be a big deal. So what? We're still behind slightly. The problem is that we've been predicting a very small carryout for corn, only about 220 million bushels. If all this acreage either doesn't get planted or it gets snowed under, we'll still be shorter on corn, and that's assuming that all the other acreage makes in a season that's seen a lot of bad weather. Of course, it's still early in the season, Mike, but the fundamental picture isn't shaping up to match the expected demand for grain this season.
And Neil, I saw where, given all the situations involving corn right now, as well as the rest of the grains, corn stocks could go to a 37-year low. That's the first time that's happened, at least since you've been alive. Neil Melancon, thanks. And remember, you can listen to any of Neil's reports on the Louisiana Farm Bureau Radio Network. For a list of stations where you can tune in or listen online, you can click over to our website, twilatv.org, and look for the LFB radio link on the left side of the home page. That does it for this edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Be sure to join us next week when we head back into Holly Clegg's Trim and Terrific Kitchen, where Holly and AJ continue to celebrate National Beef Month with that delicious Louisiana beef. Until then, you can watch any of our stories online on our website. You know the address, twilatv.org. For all of us here at This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Michael Dana. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Hope to see you again right here next week.